Anytime I don't just do it right at the outset, I always am at huge risk of forgetting. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Makes a village. So where was I? Oh yes. So we're going to talk about exactly what strategies tend to work best for this marketing process, right? Again, if you're just got this stitch and you don't have a system in place to go out and share it with the world, it doesn't do you a whole lot of good, does it? So just to revisit what we were doing yesterday. And Sarah, you had mentioned that you were interested in doing a product tier brainstorm and business model big business model write-up. Are you still game for that?
I'm actually not. Sorry, I'm eating lunch.
No problem.
I've been chewing on it, and I feel like I'd love to save it for our one-on-one, unless there's no one else who wants to go. But yeah, learning a lot from other folks here. Thank you.
No problem. And yes, I would love to. Anyone wants this sort of $1 million experience here to refine their marketing funnel, so that again you can just leave with this not just a first draft of a plan, but a expertly led and iterated and pretty dialed in plan that we're going to create together. Just unmute and say me.
Me?
Magda, awesome. Let's do it.
Else?
I mean, you are first. You are in the love seat. So let's talk. Let's see. I have a Canva that we're going to generate together. Okay, so let's start with your stitch, Magda. Let me just make a copy of this. All right. So back to this product tier brainstorm that we were looking at yesterday. We did a lot of really awesome work together, and we're able to help Dawn come up with something that's really tight and pretty straightforward in terms of what she could sell, right? Where we were drawn pretty clearly to one of these tiers. So let's just do a quick redux of this. I won't go really deep into feedback, Magda. I'll kind of go with what your what your intuition is saying, refine it just a little bit, and then we'll get into the marketing funnel, and then we can come back and iterate it. Because again, it's all these things are puzzle pieces that come together to fit in, right? So talk me through your stitch. I'll kind of pull out those magic words, and we'll go from there.
Okay, so I'm gonna pull out the stitch that I attended a previous session with you on this, and several of the members got together on LinkedIn and helped each other do the stitch. So I'm going to pull out the one that I think that came back from the group. If I can get to it really quick. It's on my LinkedIn. Sorry guys. I apply journalistic curiosity and objectivity to bring clarity to complex ideas, organize comprehensive strategies, identify purposeful partnerships, design customer-centered experiences, and build solutions that improve, strengthen, and move impactful efforts.
So just to make sure I got most of that. So identifying personal partnerships, was it customer-centric experience?
Design customer-centered experiences. Organize comprehensive strategies, and build solutions.
Cool. So here's where we're going to actually, and again, all these pieces fit together, right? So it's not like there's these mile markers where it's a go, no go, and you have to completely finish your stitch before you move on to the tiers, and you don't necessarily have to finalize those before you move on to the potential marketing strategies, right? Because again, each of the three pieces can kind of inform the other parts. And again, there might be a certain type of solution that you want to build, Magda, that actually you're only going to want to do it if you can pull off a certain marketing funnel with it. right? For example, like any solution that I could build that I might even enjoy, but it's going to require me to go through paid ads or something, like I'm just not going to do it. Forget it. Right. So we can kind of like cross this off the bat. So I'm going to do, again, there's value in actually doing a little bit of a quick and dirty version of this, which is why I feel really comfortable doing this as our baseline today. So I love journalistic curiosity. This is really unique, right? This is a differentiator. I do not hear about journalistic curiosity and objectivity very often. It does draw me towards a understanding of kind of like this assumption, I guess, that we're talking about something media related, something about PR and comms, maybe that area. So again, this is just my first impression. If that's off base, then we might want to tailor it a little, right? Thinking about like cherry picking some of the deliverables from what you said here, right? So there's complex strategies, identification of purposeful partnerships, design, and solutions. Strategies, partnerships, design, and solutions. The path that I'll offer, because again, this is all, again, tends to always in this level or this this first draft stage that we're at, we tend to be really high level and non-specific. It's just where we start, right? It's in some ways it's our nervous system kind of protecting us from like over committing to one thing, because that actually feels a little scary, right? But the problem with this, right? The reason why we want to continue iterating on this is because it's just really broad. Like there's just a zillion things that I could imagine you doing and being good at, and ways you could help me. And God, like, I mean, based on this, like anyone would benefit from talking to you. And what that produces, unfortunately, is a blank in my mind of who I should introduce you to next to actually do this, right? So there's this funny, I don't know, double-edged sword isn't the metaphor, this funny side effect of this broadness that just, I'm like, oh God, it could be anyone. And therefore I'm able to only think of no one. And so by being really specific, by drilling it down and painting a really vivid picture, which is what we were able to do with Dawn yesterday by the end, suddenly I'm like, oh my God, I know exactly. It's a specific kind of customer-centric experience design. It's a certain, there's a flavor of strategy around it, like, the journalism, and journalism and media space that like it's a certain type of strategy to accomplish a certain thing. And I'm like, I know exactly the person you should talk to, Magda. So what I'm going to guide us to do, I'm kind of just laying out the principles for everyone here so they can do it for themselves later. So when you talk about strategy, what's it a strategy to accomplish? Because it's not just a strategy for anything. It's not a strategy to build a building, right? That's pretty complex, but that's not what you're talking about, I don't think. So what kind of strategy is it? What results does the strategy get a person? Oops, you're on mute. Sorry.
My experience recently has been working with social impact efforts. People who have big ideas, they're all over the place, and they don't know how to get to the end. They bring me to the table because I do untangle everything that's in their head. My last client referred to me, told me to stop reading her mind because she said that it was just scary how I was putting into words what she could not yet do.
So we're getting warmer here.
Excuse me?
Oh, sorry, we're getting warmer. The next click down, I'll go ahead and just double down on here because this is really good. What did you untangle in their head? And I want you to think of this specific instance, because that's what we're gonna roll with right now. And trust me, I know you, Magda. I've known you for a long time. I could put you into almost any environment and you could untangle what's in people's heads. That's not what we're selling in the stitch. But what we're selling in the stitch is the thing that you have demonstrated evidence of doing this thing. It's going to feel like you're like, wait, but I'm not giving credit to all of the other things that I'm capable of. That's okay. This is just the little gateway into the temple. Your magic is in the temple. We got to get people in there, right? And this is how we're going to do it. So you put into words what's in their head and with people with the big ideas in the social impact space, and what do they walk away with?
The end result is a design of their I'm gonna say it again, the social impact effort, it of how to impact community, how to get the message out, how to create an event that highlights and that brings, that lets us use our Latino voice or elevates our Latino voice.
So now I have this vivid picture of what's happening. There's an event full of empowered Latino people who are able to get their message of social impact across to the people who need to hear it to move their initiatives forward, right? Suddenly that is an object that I can see and feel and smell and taste. Like, again, like all of the sensory impact is there, right? So this is an awesome product. Like, this is okay, what I do is, we walk away with a design, right? So this is one tier for sure. How intensive is the design process? Like, about how, again, I know this is kind of a tough question, but order of magnitude, how many hours do you need to spend with somebody in this niche to get them just the design of how they're going to bring their event to life? How long does it take?
My experience has been 15 to 20 hours to ask all those journalistic questions and get behind the scenes of what they're looking to design.
Awesome. So that 15 to 20 hours, that I'm just going to put that in the $10,000 category, because I feel like there's probably some, it's not just the design, right? Like there's the interviewing, designing, maybe like a couple like iterative processes where you're not just like handing them a design, you're like, bye. You're actually getting some feedback and maybe doing one more rev, being like, awesome, okay, now I'm hearing you in a different way. Here's the second draft.
And I'm also thinking about our collective network. Usually people that we need to bring to the table. I am considering social media impact and influencers. I am thinking about historical impact. And I am thinking about future data gathering.
So like giving them metrics, right? So this is a strategic document, right? There's what we're talking about here is this is a very comprehensive strategic document about designing an event. And it tends to be people in the social impact space that are going to benefit most from this. Anyone could benefit from it, but like, come on, you don't work with just anyone. Like, it's way more for you to work with a certain type of person who shares values or lived experience, whatever, right? So again, this is where you get to be picky about who you share your gifts with, which like I think you should be. Be generous, but also picky. So that sounds like a great $10,000 tier offering. From here, I think we're looking at $1,000 tier. That's just it's like this, but light. Like you're using you're not really offering the iteration process. You're only asking, maybe you're like, there's a standard form that they fill in, and without really necessarily being really close, a ton of hand holding, you receive details through a form and then kind of like put it into your framework and then send it back to them. And that's $1,000 offering. Does that sound right?
Yes. And I wanted to clarify the part about the event. In case I don't know if it's a part of the conversation, but an event isn't just an event, right? It's the product. The event is the product. The outcome is the product.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Anyone who has gone to a really good event or helped put one on knows that like it is a product in and of itself, right? Just like I consider my products to be just shared space, right? So whether that's my living room, which the very first Fearless Femmes ever was in my living room in Manhattan. And it was right before the pandemic, and then also just like this space here I consider to be my product, my art, honestly. So events, well-run events, are extraordinary and require tons of talent. So I think,
and you have seriously made this an art form.
And I'm really like, I know this is maybe a little bit cheesy, but I have, the more I take myself seriously as an artist, the better work I do and the more successful my business is. It's been wild. Like this is 2023, just quick aside. 2023 was the year that I just decided I was going to run an experiment of taking myself seriously as an artist. I couldn't even say it with a straight face, you know? Like, what do you mean take yourself seriously as an artist? It's like, oh, and I don't know, like what I was like, cool, I'm just gonna do that and see what happens. And sure enough, my writing discipline, like through the roof, my writing quality through the roof. The way, I mean, my ability to think things through about my philosophy, like there's this whole concept of career anarchy that I'll share with you guys at some point. That's like pretty intense and pretty, again, pretty deep. And again, like that was a output of just this deep thinking and writing that I was doing. So anyway, back to you, Magda. So standard.
I was gonna say really quick, when I saw your post today about art, it was sort of this like light bulb moment, which is what motivated me today to make a couple of calls on the social impact project that I want to start, because it includes animal rescue, it includes journalism, it includes data. And so I started making calls to people, and that's the first thing I posted about today, because reading that made me realize that it is an art form and every artist is unique, and that's what we can bring to the table individually.
It's true. We're market creators. It's a fun place to be.
Yeah.
Requires a lot of nervous system regulation to be out here. Like, trust me, like there is not a whole lot of like, there's not like this, like, you know, dopamine feedback loop that you're hooked up to all the time of external validation. Like you gotta generate it yourself. It's a whole different game. So let's just go here. I think that it could be cool, Magda, for you to do a brainstorm on your own around the $100 version, right? Maybe it's a downloadable PDF. Again, there's so many different. Maybe it's something that's like directly a precursor to one of these things that's $100. Again, lots of ways that we can kind of like set this up really cleverly, where each tier kind of you can upsell into the next tier. You don't have to, but it is a cool thing to pull off if you can, right? I tend to actually not do it for what it's worth. You don't have to. And then the $100,000 offering, I don't know, man. It's like you've like pulled in like event coordinators. You're on site for the event. You've like designed all the assets and like pulled in like a graphic designer to create a bunch of merchandise and branding and all of this stuff. Like there's a $100,000 offering here that I think is pretty clear. And even saying all that stuff, right? Like, oh, hiring, finding contractors, being on site. When I think of that, I'm like, oh God, no. Direction events drain me so much. So, you know, they're worth it, but like they drain me a lot. I do not want to do it all the time. And so for me, that would be like, I don't think the $100,000 thing, a lot of money, that's cool. It's not money that I want to make. I want to make 10 of these things, or I'd rather sell 10 of these things. So which one is $10,000 offering feeling? Are you like kind of feeling magnetized to it?
I am, actually. I am. And I remember the conversation from yesterday. And I'm working on a project now that is going to take 3 to 6 months. So according to this value, I've completely undersold myself, but I have learned some lessons, and I've replaying it and trying to connect it for the future.
Beautiful. Yeah. And again, like this is how we build this business. And this is like, by the time it was so funny that I had imposter syndrome leading up to my first client, because the moment I did it, I was like, holy shit, I've been doing this for free my whole life. Like even when I was a kid, I was creating spaces like this and connecting like this and in a systematic way, right? So I mean, it's hilarious to think that we would have imposter syndrome for something that we're just like, we do it so naturally. It's like breathing, like, yeah. Anyway,
I still get mad thinking about how much money I left on the table at my last big job, because I'm like, how in the world did I not have a community how did I not build a community earlier that would have reminded me of the value of the work that we do?
Next best time is today. So here we are. And I mean, you have been doing this, Magda, through FEMS for a long time. So yeah, you're old hat now. So okay, so now we're gonna get into the funnel. So again, we just did a little bit of a redux of the same exercise we did yesterday with drilling Magda Stitch down into a couple product tiers. And here we go. Here we are with the funnel. Look at this, amazing. The top of funnel, the goal being, great, now they've heard of you. right? That's the first layer, broadly speaking, of this funnel. The next level down is engaging them so you get to know them better and they get to know you better at a high level, right? And so that's the engagement part of the funnel. At some point, they will know you enough, understand what it is that you do, have a sense of like kind of like really a taste of your personality. Because again, this is a personality-led future of work, right? Rather than a job title-led one. It's getting to know your personality that allows them to take this next step and compels them to take this next step of wanting an opportunity to work with you, right? So we give them an opportunity to buy here. So just turning this on its side a little bit, this is the funnel that we're going to end up with. Attract, interact, convert, and then they say this was just part of the template of take it offline, really is, you know, deliver is what this is. I just forgot to change this, sorry guys. Deliver. And so really, we're going steps 1 through 3 here. The Post-it notes that we ideate and generate in each of these categories, we're going to select one that seems like the most fun, and for each level, pop it down here and make it add it to the activities that comprise that funnel. I'm just going to make sure that this screen share is pinned, because I realized watching the recording briefly yesterday that this might look really tiny for you guys, unless it doesn't. Does this look big for you guys or tiny?
Smaller.
Well, okay, let me fix it.
The activities part looks very small.
Yeah, the image though, the screen share.
Oh, yes, yes.
How do I do that? Ugh, I feel like Zoom
The
like
image,
changes the controls
For-
on it.
for me, the sharing of the Canva with the 4 stages is very large, and that's the only thing I'm seeing.
So I'm the tiny face up here, and then
Yes,
okay, good.
yes.
I think you guys can pin for yourselves the big thing. If for some reason that's not working, they kind of the privacy and permission thing on Zoom changes all the time. So sorry about that. But hopefully you make this big enough. Let me know if you're having trouble seeing at any point. So what we're going to do is for Magda, brainstorm, and really again, like we'll start with doing this for Magda, but also like think about what your product here is as well, right? And then what your product is that you think it would be really fun to start offering to folks. What are all the ways in which a person who's talented, curious, magnetic, has something to say, has value to offer, what are all the ways that they get heard of by people? Real question. I want to brainstorm this live with you guys.
I can tell you what I've done, but I'd like everyone else to go first.
Feel free to, Magda, walk me through what you've done, and I'll let other people enter into the chat what their ideas are.
Whew, okay. I am currently president of a nonprofit that supports Latino journalists and PR professionals and marketers. I am part of a Dallas group of your top, I don't know if it's your top because not everybody accepts the nomination or the vote, but it's certainly considered your elite group of 100 Latinas in DFW. I am part of the state board of Literacy Texas.
So the list, just to sorry to interrupt, so for the list of sort of like elite Latinas in North Texas, does this get published in magazines? I'm just trying to extrapolate it out to like a broader, like the strategy that's happening.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, it does. Well, there's a list that is made available. Yes, you can look us up online.
Get on online list. And so who is doing it? Is it like, what organization is doing it? So someone
the organization, sorry, the organization itself makes the list available. And so businesses come to the group and say, hey, we're looking for board members. We're looking for people to participate. Internally, we provide a list of our areas of expertise.
Awesome. So the strategy here, just extrapolating it out for anyone to kind of, adapt to their situation. What we're talking about here is explore getting on boards of nonprofits. right? Become visible. Maybe it sounds like there's organizations that that create lists of experts that that then are available for nonprofits looking for board members, right? So it sounds like this is kind of like an umbrella of like a board, becoming a board member as a strategy for getting heard of.
And one of the things I often discuss when it comes up in the different groups that we're all a part of is that's exactly how to take your product experience and create social impact effort, is to get on a board, to volunteer with a group that provides resources, provides support for an area of your own passion, whether it's reproductive rights, if it's politics, if it's education. Take your product experience and join one of those organizations. It creates not just so much visibility, but it lends a hand to a group that for a nonprofit is already struggling, one, financially, and two, the people who are in those organizations do not have the kind of product experience that we have, the skill sets that we have, just by showing up. And they can always use that kind of support.
So perfect. So boards sounds really, really rich. Let's keep popcorning the ideas. I'd love to hear other people's ideas as well. Again, I'll just do the obvious one here. Social media. Post on social media. The other thing in the social media umbrella, if we want to call it that, is like comment on social media. All of these things are just really simple ways to go for somebody has never seen your name in their whole life. And so now they have seen your name. Easy as that, right? So Slack communities. So I'll include Slack, LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, right? So we'll just kind of like call those all social media platforms. Local meetup groups, love it. So get that IRL. Any other ideas?
Presenting at a conference or attending a conference. And again, volunteering for a conference, great way to meet the speakers.
Remind me to tell you about the time that I basically like charmed my way via Twitter in 2009 into volunteering at TED. And it literally, one might say that it like led to my entire career. So highly recommend this strategy, especially if you're, you know, a scrappy 22-year-old. I'd like almost forgotten about that. Isn't that funny? Time just goes by. Here at conferences, make this a little bigger while you guys come up with new ideas. What else? Not rocket science, right?
Oh, you can always participate. Yes, my dog. Participate in your local school board meetings or city council meetings. Anything that's especially local government right now they need a lot of support. They need a lot of attention. And
I'll file that under local meetup groups because I think that's a version of that, right?
Okay.
So, good idea, Magda, and I love again your version of that would probably look like social action committees and town hall meetings and stuff like that for sure. Any other ideas? This is plenty, by the way. But if anyone has like something that they were like, oh my god, I can't believe Doug hasn't added this to this list yet.
I think one-on-one like reach outs for like brands that you really love and building relationships over time.
Mm-hmm. So building relationship or nurturing the relationships over time probably goes into the engagement side, right? So we'll add that there.
Right. But I've done like specific one-on-one reach outs as well. And whether it's like a warm intro or like a cold email, but if you've done it well, you end up getting some good connections of being very open-ended about like how you can collaborate. And then the conversation becomes understanding their needs, knowing what you bring to the table, and then bridging those two.
Beautiful. So we can already see a funnel coming from that, right? It's reach out to them. Next step in the funnel, reach out to them. Next step in the funnel is understand their needs, right? Get to know them better. And then the bottom of funnel is like connect the dots, like bridge the gap between how you can help them and how you can, how you can mutually serve each other, right?
Yeah,
Tat-
so Tatiana has here attending parties, and I just want to call out and build on that. I attended a dinner last week that was kind of like a party. It was like 10 people, and they were showing some new software, and we were having dinner. And out of that came a connection with someone that's thinking about starting a business. And we had our first meeting yesterday, myself and 3 other people, just kind of tossing around ideas. And that was an opportunity for me to demonstrate. I mean, they were like 34 years in the pharma, like just so deep technically, but like none of them had the skill sets that I offer, even though I was like 20 years younger and, all the things. And so it gave me an opportunity to demonstrate that to these very senior leaders. So getting into like brainstorming sessions where you can kind of show off what you're doing, where there's some potential either introduction opportunities and or collaborations that could turn into the next app or platform that gets built.
Awesome. So, I mean, if I had my way, we would view and design every single one of these things and make it look and feel like a party, whatever that means to you. When we show up to any of these things, the same way that we show up to a party where we feel like we're queen of fucking everything and just like loving connecting with people and in our element, it is irresistible. Sarah's been partying with me for like 10 or 12 years now. So is Nina, actually. This is really funny. I do live by these values. You guys have been partying with me for too long. But truly, if we can channel this body that physically feels the same way as when we're walking into a party of our best friends that looks just like we like it, right? Again, if you hate huge parties, then maybe it's an intimate dinner party, right? That's the vibe you want, like be the vibe you want to see in the world, right? And the moment, I cannot tell you how like cataclysmic this was for me. I guess cataclysmic's a negative connotation, but anyway, it was a revelation to me when I realized that all I needed to do was be the person I was in these environments, the party environment, everywhere, literally everywhere, with no exception. Yes, even the exception that you think you have to make, not that either. And truly, this is what differentiates you. It is your full light shining through, right? Not party like it's your job. That's, basically, like, that's kind of what I do. Brilliant. So really, really good stuff here, guys. And hopefully that's a pep talk to party more. Again, always a balance of taking care of your body. These days, I don't do a whole lot of late night partying. And I do a lot more tea and water at my parties. But that's being in your late 30s.
I have one last one to add. And I guess tell your friends if you're excited about what you're doing. For example, like I was working on some business ideas this year, and like one was related to like how can we help like beginner runners, and it was more of just like a life update that I was giving to a friend. But she's like, oh, like I know this like runner friend of mine, he would be great for your marketing like website. And I was like, I just like started on this idea, but like the fact that like she was excited for me and offered something far down the line, it's just your excitement shines through.
Absolutely. And I have a client where I feel like it was her that taught me this years and years ago. Or at least made it really crisp for me, where she's like, I meet with everyone and anyone. That's my business strategy. Like, that's it. That's my professional development strategy. And I was like, holy shit, you're right. And watching her just come alive and just, that was her job, was meeting with her friends every week, multiple times. And you'll notice the people who do that, they're the ones who they're on like this rocket ship. It's like they're strapped to something really fast. So truly talking to your friends about it, don't make it weird because you're just being you. Remember, you're not like putting on some dumb mask or like trying to like thread some needle. No, you just are you everywhere, right? And you talk about the things you're interested in to anyone because you believe that anyone you meet is interested in connecting with you, all parts of you, right? Radical bit of vulnerability in all of this, by the way. So again, this is why all of these tactics are nice. It's 20% of the picture. Tactics and strategies, 20%. It's 80% energy, mind, body, emotion, system alignment, and physiology, right? So we'll get into more of that in just a minute. Let's just power through these last 2 levels of the funnel. Sorry, go ahead, Magda.
Sorry, I was gonna say, I just thought of, I don't know why I hadn't connected the dots, but I just thought of a property, if you will, that is similar amongst the people I've been helping. They all have other jobs. They are either looking to grow their business funnel, if you will, or they're doing it as a side hustle. And that's where they need the organization. I don't know why I didn't think about that before. But they are already in spaces, in creative spaces of their own, and they need someone to put that structure.
Yeah.
So
And so where do people who already have their own businesses hang out? Probably
Chamber.
LinkedIn, right?
LinkedIn, chamber groups.
Yep. So suddenly, right, where the details of this step in the funnel start to emerge, and by extension, this is something we won't have time to do. God, I wish I could do. I wish I had like, oh God, what would it be, like 30 days straight of these sessions? Because then we might be able to get to most of what I teach in the program. But one of the things that we won't have time to do is really using all these insights we're gleaning here in this picture that's starting to emerge, because it's starting to define for you who your customer persona is. Right? Like, oh, and then the more detail we get about that, the more conversations we have, the more light, the more clarity it gives these artifacts that we're creating right now. Right. And I did say, speaking of artifacts, Shika, you had mentioned about access to the Canva. I will be downloading this and exporting it and sending it to you guys. So so I literally just generated this document an hour ago.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah.
Just wasn't sure if I missed it in the chat. Thanks.
Oh, you're good. All right, so let's quickly go through this because I want to make sure that we have time to really select this and generate this funnel, the 3 steps. So I'll just kind of power through this a little bit. So at this point, we're talking about engagement. Again, there's the engagement part of social media, right? So again, these 2 things might kind of belong in both levels of this funnel, but we'll just say social media, just continuing to engage with connections you already have, right? What would be another way that you would do this, Magda?
This is where I tend to do the coffee and teas and all that, and ask where their mission or their efforts lie. And then this is for the intentional partnerships, where I start evaluating possible intentional partnerships.
So there's sort of like the casual version of a discovery meeting, right? So, and again, this is where your marketing, which we all hate so much, gets to be fun. It gets to be just more art, more curiosity, more research, right? I have a whole story about how my business really launched, but it definitely involved a lot of people coming to the coffee shop nearest my apartment in Nolita, and that was literally, how everything started for this phase. So I love these follow-ups, engaging social media. Oh, another one that's a classic, y'all, because email's king still. And some of you might absolutely want to poop your pants at the idea of emailing everyone in your list. That's usually a sign that you should do it because your body's probably reacting to how high powered it is as a resource. And so you're probably having a lot of feels about leveraging it. So if you're having that feeling, it's usually because a newsletter is the right thing to do. There is nothing like getting into people's email inboxes. This is maybe expert note just from experience. An email, one email open, is worth 1,000 social media followers. So that's the ratio we're talking. And that has borne out to be true in my experience as well. So this is also anytime I'm pulling in someone to do, I don't know, a partnership or something, I'm gonna have them come on and speak to my audience or something. I'm looking for people with really strong newsletters, but if they are just on social media, then my bar is 10x higher in terms of follower count versus email subscriptions. So
I can share this. My really tough lesson learned, everyone in the group, is that this is gonna sound, I have a crazy, stupid network. I do. I built it out of just a lot of hard work. And I am just now learning to go to them and say, hey, here's where I'm at. Because for the longest time, Becca, you knew me back when I first joined your group. I was all over the place. And I just recently launched a project that could become a research center. but I think part of it was key is that I got it down to like 3 sentences. So this network thing, it really works.
Yeah. I mean, I basically wrote down in a guide how to network, because like I think it was one of my clients, Quinley, who was like, no, Becca, just write it down. Literally, you might think it's silly, but just write it down. And it's basically my strongest content, my best performing content that I have. So shout out to Quinley for making me write down how to network. And we will talk about that in just a minute. So this is really solid. Also, I threw in paid events in here, guys, because it's again, it's more of a commitment than a free event. Also, a paid event is a really powerful way. Again, if it's like $20, right? It's just like cover expenses, or it's really, really high value content. You'll have a smaller group, but they are once someone has paid you money, that means that they are infinitely more likely to pay you money again. So I love it as a mid-funnel tactic. It's not one that I use, but it's one that some clients use, and it's beautiful. So
Clarify,
oh, yeah,
to
go ahead.
clarify, you're saying people attend your events, or do you attend others' events?
So, oh, sorry, host paid events. Good catch. Yeah, you want to throw an event and charge people to attend it, and that will signal to you that they are way more serious than somebody who attends a free event in terms of readiness to pay you. I mean, like again, like kind of obvious, they're ready to pay you because they just did. Okay, beautiful. So let's skip ahead to bottom of funnel. This is where, again, like the funnel gets narrower, right? I mean, by design, we should be losing people because we're qualifying people at each level of the funnel, right? So the bottom of the funnel, we tend it tends to have the characteristics of being higher touch, fewer people that are way more serious, way more targeted. And so there's only so many ways to interact with people at that level. And I mean, one of them is really obvious. It's just what I do, my step in the funnel is, you guys sign up for this event. I engage with you by delivering a mind-blowing event. And then also same level in the funnel, doing a newsletter. And then at some point you guys are ready to book a call with me, the discovery call. And by the way, I'll add it right here. Oh, I'm doing my selling. Calendly.com. I'm so clever. I just feel really clever right now. BeccaCamp/BYOB. And once you are ready to exit the engagement part of the funnel and go into the bottom of funnel where you have an opportunity to buy, and like there's no pressure. We're just gonna like talk about your specific goals and make sure that I'm the right person to help solve them. If I'm not, I'll refer you out. But that's how I do it, right? Then some coaches they prefer not to do the one-on-one, either because they've got too many people coming in to the bottom of funnel, or they've got a lower ticket thing where it just doesn't really make sense for them to like have a deep call, because the person's only gonna be spending like $1,000, $1,500 or whatever, and it's a less considered purchase perhaps. But for me, you're paying $9,000, $8,500, like. And I like talking to you. Like, of course I'm going to offer this, right? If I hated one-on-one stuff, or it really drained me, I wouldn't do it, but I don't. So I do. So again, very intuitively led here. So one-on-one, call it a sales call, but like for me, it's like, I'm just giving you all the information you need and then you decide. Like there's zero selling involved, at least in the conventional sense. So that's one way to do it. The other way to do it is a sales page. So again, this is for if you're selling something on the $1,000 to $100 to $1,000 level tier, like a page on the internet. Like people spend $500, $700,000 on the internet all the time, right? When they're buying something that's like a considered purchase. So they've done their research and they're ready to do that. So having a sales page is great. Sometimes you don't need to have a real-time interface to make that sale. These are honestly, I'm kind of there's just not that many other options. What are some things that I'm not thinking?
Yeah, I think there's one here, depending on who you're working with and your goals, but becoming a certified vendor, or becoming part of a company that is a certified vendor, that's huge, because you can have tons of advocates within an organization, but it can take a year to become certified. So that's critical.
Yeah, I think I snuck onto Google. I think I snuck onto Google certified vendor list before they really got really intense about it. So that was a really great. I totally forgot about that. But yeah, Ani, that would be an example. Is I'm on the list of Asana or Google. I'm there's like a list of like coaches that we work with here, employees, pick one. And because they've, you know, interviewed me and gotten to know me, I'm like an option for them and several other companies.
And also,
Yep.
because we're all women, please consider that there are women-centered lists to get on.
Yeah, so certified vendor list that can be, again, demographic. It's actually, you know, I think can be really important for folks with a certain lived experience or from certain ethnic or racial backgrounds to have people in their corner who look like them or have been through, you know, a similar life experience, right? So again, lots of sort of those, oh my gosh, employee resource groups, right? Being sort of a version of that. So lots of different directions you can take this. Does that answer your question, Ani? Collaborations with folks who provide, oh yeah, so this is actually a great idea. It tends to be a little bit more on like a little bit further up funnel, at least the way that I've done it, Tatiana. Oh, but okay, sorry, I'll back up, I'm getting excited. So I think, Tatiana, if I'm understanding you correctly, you can kind of, with a relationship, and I've actually done this with other coaches, where I just get sold in on another coach's project. So like he'll pull me in. My friend Corey Caprista pulled me in because I am an expert at embodiment. And I was actually training the Lyft sales team on embodied sales, even though I don't know anything about sales, but I know a lot about embodiment. And in context, we were able to deliver something really cool and holistic to them. So that's probably one complementary way to do it. Low at the kind of like further on in the funnel. So obviously, you know, I get sold in with a collaborators project. A way you can do this up funnel is another thing that I love doing. I don't do it very often because it's kind of heavy, and I've been in a season of just not doing hard things this year, or doing other kinds of hard things. And in particular, you find a bunch of people who have bigger audiences than you, and partner with them to hold an event. So you guys may have been to one that I threw, gosh, it must have been beginning of this year, where I had a bunch of people with unconventional careers just telling their like raw, for real stories of like how they got to where they are, right? And so of course there's this win-win where they're telling everyone about the event on their list, and there I am, my name. So it's a really great top of funnel activity. And then the actual delivery of the event is an engagement step for anyone who attends. So really good stuff.
Hey, follow them on social media, because so many of them post, hey, I'm looking to connect with, do you have any suggestions for?
Yeah, brilliant. So I think that's where, again, social media is pretty great. Here's the trick. So I'm going to phase this into, you know, the selection process, which is, again, to some extent, we don't want to let perfect be the enemy of good. We want to just pick 3, pick a funnel and run like DTFE, as I like to say, do the fucking experiment. DTFE this funnel, right? And so what we want to do is feel into which top of funnel activity, one of them, which appeals to you the most, which sounds like not work. Because again, I'm here to have fun. I don't know about you guys. There's enough hard shit.
If I look at the one for me that's fun, it's finding, I get a kick out of it. I like finding those ways to collaborate and build strong partnerships. I like finding that solution that meets both sides of the puzzle, if you will.
Partnered events. So I'm paraphrasing here, Magda. Is this what you had in mind? Like kind of what I'm talking about like getting a bunch of experts with big audiences together. And there's a little bit of legwork that you do because you're benefiting from their size of their audience, right? And so the trade-off is that you do a little bit of the, you know, assets that they can send to their list, and like you kind of drum all that stuff up. But it's fun to do if you're into it, right?
Yep.
Oh, one of the areas where I'm growing is trying to build panels and
Yes.
taking these ideas for conversations to
Yep.
groups that would be interested in the topic.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
hosting panels as well as being on them, right?
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, I have one coming up next week, actually, in Boston, that I put together. I have 6 people that are going to be attending a half day session to dig into some topics around the future of design leadership. Based on some of the news, like IDEO, you may have heard, is letting off a third of their workforce in January. It's huge. And there's a lot of just really interesting stuff coming out of Forbes and stuff. So I pulled together, and I made sure that they were, some are consultants, some are actually leading large design teams. And my goal is to take photographs, capture it, and then afterwards publish a piece that's basically design leaders responding to the media that's being put out there about them, rather than sitting back on their back heels and complaining about it or feeling slighted. So really taking the power and the initiative of a circumstance and then pulling together people that I've met through the networking to host this event. I'm really excited about it. Afterwards, we'll have dinner, and that will then be 15 people. So the word of the workshop will kind of create some infectious energy. And then I'm hoping that that can cycle into more of these types of things, because that's just going to build momentum and energy, as well as address some things that I just simply think are wrong coming out of, social media and news.
And this is the thing, guys, about people go round and round about like, whoa, how do I build credibility? How do I build credibility in this space? And the answer is go out and be credible, dude. Pull a bunch of people together and have them show up to an event, because guess what? You're credible. like they're like, oh yeah, I see what Dawn's got going on. And yeah, I'll take time out of my schedule to do this. And then people will be like, oh yeah, Dawn's credible. Like evidently, right? So again, this is where like waiting to be ready. I mean, I don't have to tell you guys this. It's the trap. It's the trap, right? I won't even preach about it. Like, you guys know. So anything you can do to get your nervous system into a place where you are just blowing through the need to wait. Like, we've just got to get your nervous system into that place where you are like just able to push through. Do you want to share a link to that event, by the way, in the chat, Dawn?
Sure.
Yeah.
I think I have a Coda page about it. So let me see if I can get that working.
And by the way, I should be asking, I dazzle on panels. If anyone wants me on a panel for anything they think is interesting, happy to talk about it offline, or just shoot me an invite with some information. I would love to.
Becca, do you know that this is probably why I send people to you all the time? Because I'm like, I haven't come up with an event or a panel where I can bring you on, so I just send people to you.
Perfect. I mean, whatever works, I'll say.
I have sent several men to your page because I'm just like, look at the concept, because this is what they're doing, and they've all liked it. So
it is funny. So this again is kind of the joke about niching down, right? It's like, oh, well, I'm like committing to femmes and female identified people and all of that. Like, oh man, like, but what about all the men that I could be impacting, that I could run my business? Because like I definitely can help them. They find their way to you anyway. Again, like I've had so many men who are like, I really want to work with you. Is that allowed? And I'm like, yeah, of course. I only work with them on a one-on-one basis because I don't have a community for them at the moment. But I mean, if people want to work with you, they'll find a way, right?
Yeah.
Getting out there and having an opinion, having a routine, having a niche, or sorry, having a point of view, excuse me, not even a niche. Your people will find you. And again, I used to have women and femmes all over my website, and still just people who resonate with me, that it's of all genders. Okay. So this is really good, really solid. So let's pull this one down. Is this gonna work? Come on. Whoa. Okay, it's a little clunky. Sorry, guys. We're gonna pull this down. Oh, I can do this. Aha. I know how to Canva. Boom. We've got step one in the funnel. Now this is where the discipline comes in. To run a high integrity experiment, we do one step at a time, and we see how it feels for you to actually execute the whole thing. And then we can complicate it once it's working. Okay. Once it feels good and is working. So what's step two, Magda?
to the one thing, or back to this.
So mid funnel, what's the one post-it you're going to select?
Can you
Zoom in more?
yes.
There we go.
Let's see. For me, I think it's the follow-ups. Virtual coffee.
Love it. Oops. and start thinking, because I'm just being slow here, start thinking about what your bottom of funnel is going to be. Ugh, what just happened there? Oh. Okay, well, I'm not going to mess with this. It's just something's out of order with the stacking. Boop. Good enough.
If you send it to Beck,
Yeah, I'm just trying to, I was trying to be speedier, expedient, and then I made myself slower. All right, and lastly,
the next one for me is going to. I think it's the Get Sold In with the Collaborators project. That's been my.
great. The only downside of this one as your sole level, bottom of funnel level, is that it's very dependent on other people. One of the things I didn't like mention this outright, but to have a really strong funnel, we want it to be almost as much in our control as possible, right? So I don't know, maybe like you're like half the people you know went on vacation, right, or something, and like have your collaborators went on vacation or pivoted, or I don't know, had a kid is on parental leave or whatever, and suddenly you're out, you know, you're kind of SOL on this level of your funnel. What would be your backup as more of a within your control? Well, we can add both, because I think it's okay to have two at this level, because it's so high impact. Like you're so close to closing them. I think it's okay to have two at this level.
I'm going to go with the certified vendor list. It lends itself to the credibility and that you've done the due diligence.
Cool.
Is there a right or wrong answer here?
There isn't. That's the whole thing, is that my answer is going to be different than your answer.
But this is a recipe for success, right? That's what we're saying.
Oh my God, I just borked this up so badly. Let's see. I'll fix this later, guys, before I export it to you. But you get the idea, right? We've got this attract, interact, and convert. And with the certified vendor list and what was the other thing? And getting sold in with collaborators, that's what's going to allow you to be in a position to receive compensation for the value you're going to deliver, right?
Okay.
Beautiful. Okay, this is hurting my eyeballs, so I'll stop looking at it now. Okay, so here is the moral of this story, right? What we just did, we just hammered out together. We went pretty broad with the options of how and what you could move people through a funnel. Again, mine's very simple as well. It still is to this day. It is posting and commenting on LinkedIn, just like shooting my mouth off pretty much. And then I post these events on social media, which then captures a bunch of email addresses that I'm then able to add to a newsletter. I then also engage on social media. And then through those two touch points, so just, you know, after a certain amount of time on social media and the newsletter, sometimes it's right away, sometimes it's over the period of 4 years. Eventually somebody is ready to go to the next step, the conversion step, which is a call, right? Booking a call with me. So to this day, my funnel is incredibly simple. I have gone through at least 2 phases, I don't know if that's many, where I've tried desperately to overcomplicate it and I always regret it. So again, you will probably try to overcomplicate this at some point as well. That's what I'm here to help you not do in my programs. So your task, Magda, is to run this process. There's probably, again, some logistics around, like, you know, Google how to get on certified vendor lists. Google it. Like, the information's out there, right? I actually don't know how to do it other than like networking and having friends who want to work with me at these companies. But there's probably a bunch of different ways to skin that cat.
Actually, go find your women-owned business support groups, and they have the information and the forms online, and go to the city government and you can look them up. I know how to do it. I just haven't done it, and I'm kind of shooting myself now. I could have done that a long time ago. But yes, that's,
It's like we didn't, it wasn't real before, right? It wasn't part of a system. It was just like an item on your to-do list, which is where priorities go to die. Completely out of context, things that you don't really want to do, and suddenly your whole life is a to-do list that you dread. Like, how did that happen? So instead, what we want is a contextual set of activities that lead towards an incredible goal, right? Which is real revenue. It's your ability to take your stitch, share it with people systematically, and then put people in an opportunity to receive your gifts. Like, and then again, like having a system there. So again, this part is the easy part. I can't overstate this enough, y'all. It's generating these ideas is so much more fun to do in the context of community. I just I cannot overstate this. Doing it either with me one-on-one, if that's your thing, or within the FEMS community. It is why people sign up to work with me. To end, let's see, there was one more thing I wanted to share with you guys, but actually I'm feeling more curious about this question, so I'm gonna go there instead. Write in the chat, who are you becoming? And like, again, it's a very abstract question, but like while you chew on it yourself, is there a quality that like is the you of now, the you that you are destined to be? How do you describe it? Attuned, in sync. Awesome. Bold. I remember that was one that we came up with either yesterday or today. Accepting of your gifts, taking your gifts seriously. Holy shit. Free, playful. I love this. Sometimes, especially when we're feeling really dysregulated, right? When we're feeling out of sorts, and yeah, keep it coming. I want to read all of these. And I'm like internal, like letting them flow through me. It's beautiful. A lot of times when we're seeing who we're becoming and feel like it's far away, or feel like we're frustrated or not making enough progress, it's because we're demanding that our circumstances change without being willing to change ourselves, right? We want to be bold without having to change into a bold person, right? Without having to behave boldly. We want to be healed without doing the healing, right? And like, yeah, that fucking is the most frustrating shit ever, for sure. And you know, again, it's a normal phase to see this and perceive this distance of where we are now and where we want to be. But the trick is to just start being that person. And it's terrifying, right? It feels like you're taking a step off a cliff with absolutely no guarantee that anything is going to catch your fall. And yet, especially when we're out here doing this kind of radical act of creation, of this radical act of believing in ourselves and taking our gifts seriously, somehow the ground just keeps rising to meet our feet every step of the way. Like, every day I feel like I'm stepping off a cliff into the void, and every day the ground rises to meet my feet. That exhilaration, that fear, that I kind of that uncertainty doesn't ever change. No matter how much money I make, no matter how many clients I get, no matter how long I've been in business or how feeling myself I am, the only thing that changes is my relationship to that experience, right? And so here's what I'll leave you with now that we're going into this year, now that you've like gotten, I don't know, hopefully a pretty good idea of like what it is that I do, what it is that, how it feels to work with me. Again, I really do believe you should do your research and know what you're buying. What investment does who you're becoming make in situations like this, right? Who you're becoming does not demand that other people change, or that the world changes, or that something different happens, right? Who you're becoming just decides that this is what you're doing now. And every investment that I make, whether it's time, community, money, all of this, is not who I am today. It's not, it's who I am tomorrow. And the way that I get to who I'm becoming is to just start behaving like that person. So that's all very abstract. And I want to meet everyone where they are. Obviously, like if you are feeling really overwhelmed, really sad, really burned out, and really imbalanced physiologically, the investments you're going to want to make are, for example, you'll know if you're one of the many people who emailed me saying like, oh my God, I'm looking at these tables and these Post-it notes, and I'm like, I've got nothing. Like nothing is coming into my brain. What we do in the FEMS program is we parallelize the tactical exploration with all of the physiological underpinnings that are required to actually generate the ideas, right? To actually have this list that Magda is going to go and run the experiment with, but actually wake up tomorrow morning and make time on her calendar to do it, right? As opposed to just going back to the same old routine, the same old this isn't what's happening with you, Magda, as far as I understand, but like one could go back to the same old disempowerment, the same old thing you've been doing, hoping that, wishing, being angry that you aren't already this person that you're becoming. So that's the tough love part of all of this. Your body has to get in alignment, and your tactics and strategy has to get into alignment. This is what we do in the FEMS program. I don't know how to disentangle the two. Some people do, and I find them to be way less effective. So if who you're becoming is someone who wants efficient results, who wants results that are extraordinary, you are going to need to take extraordinary measures and not just do the same thing you did yesterday, right? So okay, we've got 7 minutes. That's kind of my shtick. Here's oh, actually I had a visual for you guys that I wanted to share just to leave you with. One sec. Also just kind of like getting into the moral of this story, for anyone who was kind of looking at these tables or kind of trying to engage with the creative aspects of what we did these last 3 days, and we're feeling like, what? We could I could give you every amazing, perfect strategy in the world. We could analyze the shit out of it and like know intellectually that it's right for you. Ultimately, if you want to be making 10K, 20K, 30K plus a month, right, with this system, you're going to have to take actions to get there. We lined up exactly what those actions are for Magda today, right? Again, it took 40 minutes. Like not hard, right? If she does those things, she will get those results. It is just logistics. That is the great part about business and goals, is that if you follow the instructions that you created for yourself, you'll get the thing. However, we are feeling beings, not thinking beings. Everything we do is because of how we feel, everything. And so I'm actually curious, Magda, how would you need to feel emotion-wise tomorrow to take action on the funnel? Oops, sorry, you're on mute.
I was all being dramatic. No, I will say that I already made an appointment. In fact, I have an appointment today at 4 o'clock. Because I woke up. It wasn't, so everything that you're saying is true. It is just the logistics, and I wish that it was just a one-word answer right now.
Mm-hmm.
It was just that I felt, for the first time, I think, in a long time, ready to put myself out there. There we go.
So you felt brave?
Brave is a good word.
Courageous, hell yeah. And so the thought, I think I just heard from you, the thought that creates that emotion or that supports that emotion is, I'm ready to put myself out there. That's the words in your brain, right? The kind of the marquee scroller, right? And when you think those thoughts, I'm ready to put myself out there. The emotion that's tied to that is courage.
Yes.
But if your body is freaking out in survival mode, fight or flight, like just not feeling safe in some way, you can think that thought all day, be like, I'm ready, I'm ready, I'm ready. You're not going to be able to generate the emotion that's going to lead to the action, right? Yep. So we spent a lot of time these last couple of days working with this, what I call the mind-body emotion system, right? The thought-body emotion system. And we started every day by just giving a little zhuzh, at least, to get ourselves into a place where like the mind-body emotion system was aligned behind some of the actions that I was going to suggest and share with you all. But anytime we're just looking at a list of actions, it's sort of like I don't know what the right metaphor is here. It's the lowest point of leverage is the strategy, the tactics, the actions, right? The point of highest leverage is the body. So this is why, again, like I aim for extraordinary results with my clients. I cannot ignore this mind body emotion system as the point of highest leverage, because like the actions just kind of, if you've got this part dialed, the actions just happen. Like you do them anyway, or at least they come to you really easily, right? Because you're just feeling really like in flow and creative and curious and, you know, sharp and problem solving, right? You know, again, the post-it note exercise doesn't take very long. And if you get all of this dialed in and so that you can actually do these actions, there is no chance that you cannot not get the results. That's what I really want to impress upon you guys. You can't not get the results. It just is like this, the laws of physics almost, right? It would be like me standing up and not being able to see over my laptop. You know what I mean? And yet, if you don't stand up, you're not going to be able to get that view. So if you do one thing, I want you to identify what that one thing is that feels in alignment with your highest self, with who you're becoming. If that action is taking a call, like I hopefully have primed your mind, body, emotion system to be feeling really empowered, really awesome, whether it's scheduling a call with me or taking another action that's in highest alignment, go do it. And if you want this feel of support and me in your corner saying, like reminding you to go do it every day in WhatsApp and in and you know, via email and in our group sessions and our one-on-one sessions, I think you're probably going to be a really great fit for the FEMS community. And I really encourage you to reach out, book a call. Just a reminder, I also am offering for a very limited time this 90-minute session. So if, again, like maybe 6 months isn't feeling right to you, or I don't know, you've just got other strategies in place for support, maybe a 90-minute call is the perfect, just what the doctor ordered. Okay, camp/deep dive. Schedule that. It's $1,000. It's a screaming deal. And again, not something I typically offer. Normally, I really want to be working with people over the long run to get these extraordinary results. But lately, I've been getting extraordinary results on these targeted topics in 90 minutes. So that's why I'm offering it. Okay. This was really awesome. Tell all your friends. I'll be putting out the recordings and like just, you know, splicing it to I don't know, into sound bites and hopefully things that are more shareable. So I would love for you guys to get the word out. Send me, you know, send friends to my website, refer them to me, have them book a call if you think that they would get a lot out of my out of the work that I do. Like my stuff on LinkedIn if you can. A lot of people can't because it's too spicy and like they'll get in trouble. So another great way that you can support me and my work and getting the word out to people who need it and maybe can't respond to it is to hit like or comment or whatever if you feel called to. So yeah, those are just again a bunch of different ways that you can support me and this message, and like again this collective awakening that we're undertaking right now is really, really powerful, and the future of work looks a lot more like a bunch of people throwing parties. Sounds good to me. All right, perfect. And I'll see you guys at the next one.
Becca, you need to tour around the country. Just make stops.
Right?
And meet people.
I hate flying, so and being in the car. That's the only thing. It's like, oh, maybe if people came to me.
We're gonna
Perfect.
set it up. Just let us know with a lot of time.
Yes, perfect. Oh man, it got really dark here. I'll have to set up some more lights over here. All right. Have a wonderful end to your week and weekend, everyone. And you're in my heart. And keep an eye on your on my newsletter. I'll be sending even more cool stuff over the next couple months. All right.
Thank you.
Bye, Coco. Say bye.